Welcome back. Being a caregiver to a loved one can come with a great amount of stress, especially if you are caring for your spouse. When you start to feel hopeless, you may not know where to turn for the correct information. And if you've ever dealt with any caregiver burnout, there is one place that you can turn. So joining us now is CEO and founder of Senior Care Advocates, Greg Steen. And so we talk about this a lot. And I can only imagine. So my mom is what they call the sandwich generation. So at one point she was taking care of her parents while also taking care of her kids. And I can only imagine what that must be like. She tells this story about how one time she took us, my grandma with dementia and both of her kids under like 5. And at the same time, we all had ice cream cones. At the same time, all of us in the car were like, Mom, can you hold these ice cream cones? And she was like, how did I end up here? So what are the risk factors that many caregivers face?
So really it's neglect and loss. So they neglect themselves because, they're not taking care of themselves physically. They're not eating right. They're maybe not exercising if they're doing that. And the loss is about what you give up to be a great caregiver, maybe social interaction with friends, lunch, or, going out and enjoying a nice evening somewhere, a nice dinner. We give up so much. And they say with caregivers about your loved ones, especially the elderly, you really lose them twice, especially if it's like a mental cognitive issue. So you lose them once when you realize that they're just
slipping
not
away.
Really, all there all the time. And then, of course, afterwards when they pass. And so it's a very difficult process. And through that, it's so emotionally draining that it does take a toll. I mean, it just has to. And that's why I think I've heard higher numbers, but I'll go with one I can find a source for. 32% of all caregivers die before the one they're caring for.
I know. We've talked about that before because especially as you get older, so if you're caring for a spouse, chances are you're around the same age. And so it's really important then to be able to take care of your mental health and take care of your physical health. What happens if we are a caregiver and we feel like we just cannot continue?
So that is so common. We get the calls all the time. And the thing I would tell people is once you've recognized it, please reach out for help because there are tremendous resources, especially in the Valley. Valley Caregiver Resources is a great group. We have lots of online help. There's great support groups, at different churches in different areas, libraries and different ones. If you aren't sure, call us and we'll point you in the right direction. We'll give you a list. But it's really seeking the help, and most people just wait too long. So
I would think that a support group would be really good because sometimes all you want in life is to just vent or just complain about your day. And sometimes people who are not in that same situation just do not get it. And so it's nice to have an ear that knows what you're going through and can be there.
And can relate and can even speak to that. But like you said, even if it's just to listen, because imagine, mom and dad, they're in their mid-80s, they've been together forever, and they always came home and did this, and now you can't because the other one doesn't have that capacity. So you feel like you're on an island, you're by yourself, and it just builds up, and then they don't want to be a burden on the kids, so they don't want to share that, It's really tough. So support groups are amazing. In fact, I'm speaking at one next week, I think. You can call the office and get the information.
Oh, great.
But there's lots of great resources.
And they just have to call you to find those resources. Another great one that I think people don't take advantage of is respite care. Maybe because they don't think that they qualify or they can't pay for it. If, let's say, you're taking care of a parent or a spouse in home, how can you get respite care?
Good question. So if they're a veteran, there's options through the VA. There's options through Medi-Cal. There's great communities in town, no matter where you're at and you're watching, that will maybe provide 3 days or 2 weeks or whatever you need to be able to take a break and actually get a real break, And of course, those would cost, but there's also options with Medi-Cal. You can hire an in-home care company to come in for 4 hours. And, give you a break. Call your church. Maybe they've got a senior group or they've got some caregivers there that they have on a list that would help you. the important thing is to understand why you need it
Yes.
and to take advantage of it.
And to take advantage. And so that first call should be to Senior Care Advocates. Their website is right there on the screen, and we've got their phone number on our website as well. Greg Steen, always great information. We always love having you here. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.